One thing that never ceases to amaze me in small communities like the GameBoy community is the sheer amount of talent lurking away quietly in the dark. And I am very grateful to have a platform to host some of that talent and showcase it to the world, because this kind of stuff needs to be seen. I've got a Facebook group called the Retro Future Community. It's kind of associated to my name, but it's very much a group for the people. I have very little to no involvement in it whatsoever. It's just a place that people have come to from me, and it's turned into its own amazing thing. And this is a great example. So there's a guy whose Instagram is Joseph Tompkins. I will leave a link to it in the description. And he makes some really bloody cool stuff. We've taken a look at his Lego shell in the past, but today we're going to be taking a look at something that is just so straightforward and goddamn cool, and I'm really excited. Hey Elliot, thanks for the support. I've already installed the magnets in the flap, if that gives you any idea. I mean, the thumbnail will as well. Make sure to use the small bar to secure the battery compartment screws, and use magnetic or something screws for it to help secure it. When screwing together, go slow and without too much force. It's easy to thread the posts, presumably because this is a 3D printed part, so take your time. Hope you enjoy. Joe. Here it is. It might not look like much, but just take a look at this. Wow. How cool is that? Now, it might seem like this doesn't make much sense, but it will all begin to make sense once we put it all together. Okay, so we're going to have to do a little bit of piecemealing together, because I haven't actually got one working Game Boy Pocket spare to use for this video. But hopefully I'm going to have enough parts that we're going to be able to make it work. So I've got an empty shell here. We've got a motherboard. We've got a screen. Let's see if we can put something together. Although I'm sure I'm probably going to come across something that I'm missing, but I have got quite a lot of spare parts, so this should be fine. I'm interested to see how this is going to go together, given the fact that most of the screws to hold the front on is in, you know, this part that's going to need to come out. Ah, look, that's quite interesting. Those two posts there are going to hold it on, so that's going to be cool. So let's pop out the screen from here and pop it into the black shell like that, and it looks as though this might only be for an IPS screen. Oh bugger. In fairness, that does make sense, but it is actually only for an IPS mod, which is a little bit of a shame. I mean, it is worth us just trying to put it together to see what happens. But, oh, no. I'm not doing it as the justice it deserves. Right, and he said with regards to the threads, to be careful. So let's do that. Okay, there we go. So we've got the PCB in. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, given that the screen's not going to be able to be sat properly, because it is actually made for an IPS screen. But that's fair enough. I think if you're going to be doing a mod to a Game Boy like this, you're probably going to have an IPS screen in there. Okay, so now we can go ahead and put the back on. And I'm going to go for a black and red theme, because I don't have a black shell. Now remember, I'm screwing into 3D printed parts right now, so a little bit worried about that. He did say to go carefully, and I do usually go quite carefully, so let's see what happens. So far they have all threaded, and I'm going in as carefully as I possibly can, but so far they have all threaded. That one's threaded too. Okay, 4 out of 4, they have all threaded. Okay, now one thing we have to look at here is the fact that presumably this little piece goes in there like that, and then the threads or something, like the actual screws themselves, are going to be what Yeah, look at that. The screws themselves are going to be what magnetizes the two magnets here, which will hold that down when you are not using it, which is a very clever idea. Okay, screwing the bar in like that. That also, I believe, is a very clever way of actually securing the lower end of the Game Boy down. So now, when we close this up, and it seems like it's actually just this part here that's getting a little bit caught, you know, from the speaker, which I'm sure would not be a difficult modification to make, to just get it to sit a little bit better every single time that gets closed. But that does actually clip it into place quite nicely. You've also got this small little piece which kind of locks it down like that at the bottom. So you can see there's a really nice sort of indentation there for your thumb to be opening that up. So the next thing for us to do is put in the buttons. Now let's see how this is going to go. I mean, this is what you would be doing with this mod. It's going to be interchangeable buttons and, you know, ease of access of cleaning some silicone contacts and whatnot. So let's pop them in like this. So all the posts are all in place, and again, a little bit apprehensive about the fact that this is 3D printed, but it does seem to be of a very high quality, so I'm sure it's going to be quite long lasting. But again, it is like a proof of concept community project, so you couldn't be too hard on it. Okay, there we go. I mean, when it's in, that feels like any other Game Boy feels. You can see there. Now we should probably put a screen lens on it. Let's see, I've got a whole bag of screen lenses here, so we can stick this down. Now obviously this is meant to have an IPS mod inside it, so this is really not gonna be a mod you do to a standard Game Boy screen. It's just all I've got to hand right now, so hopefully it's still gonna show it off in all of its glory. But yeah, there we have it. So it really doesn't affect the look of it too much. Obviously you have got this horizontal line going on, and you can see there the sort of the hinge mechanism. Now it doesn't close together completely seamlessly, but I do think you have to give it some credit of the fact that this is a proof of concept sort of homemade thing. Yeah, it works really well. There's no way that flap's coming down. Let's get some batteries and test it out. Now this motherboard was in my spare parts drawer, so I'm not holding out much hope that it's even going to work. But let's see. Oh, well, that's a little bit strange. It didn't obviously stick down properly. The screen's also very off center, but the Game Boy works. Sideways. Okay, so there we have it. You can see everything is looking perfectly normal. I have only got one thing that we can put in here, colored button wise. I don't actually have anything else, which is kind of ridiculous. I should have been more prepared, but I've got boxy pixel metal buttons. So the cool thing about them though is that they're red and black. So I guess let's just put this thing to the test and see. So here I am. I fancy a change in the button color. So I take off the membranes and I take out the buttons like this. And then I put in my new incredibly amazing aluminium boxy pixel buttons like that. And then I realize that they might not work. Oh no, hang on, they're working, they're working fine. It kind of looks like he's also made it so that Game Boy Color ones can fit. Did he do that on purpose? Probably. That is what an engineer person would do. Okay, and then let's close it back up again. And bish bash bosh. Look at that. Okay, you've got to admit, that's just bloody cool, isn't it? Metal buttons, 3D printed, hinge shell, Game Boy Pocket, red and black. It's a really cool thing, Joe. Well done. I hope you guys have all enjoyed this video. Seriously awesome little idea right there. Fantastic work, mate. epic.